folks, we're talking real estate. We are going to be going up and down the new stats surrounding Ontario real estate, Toronto, the surrounding area. We're going to be looking at residential, condos, the average rental prices, what is going on going into summer, and then I'm going to share with you a duplex deal that we're going to break down in the surrounding Ontario area where I think it's actually worthwhile perhaps looking at real estate. So in the clarity of my transparency and all the wonderful homework I present to you in these hyperinflated times, consider hitting that like button, and let's kick it off by first of all taking a look at the MLS stats going into July 5th of 2021 here, folks, with starting residential, where we can see the total residential transactions year over year have increased 28.5%. But seasonally, month over month, guys, there's been a 9.1% decline. So we're starting to see a cooling off period going into the summer that who knows how that's going to reflect on the market or if it's just a little hiccup in what is going on here. But if we take a look at the average selling price, even though we're seeing a slight cooling off month over month, the prices are still at all-time highs here, with the average home being 1.08 million, up 17% year over year, and month over month relatively unchanged. So not really affecting too much there, with the total new listings hitting the market, surprisingly enough, down 1%. So you'd think that even though there's a lot less transactions going on, that maybe that would cool the market a bit. But if there's not more supply hitting the market and we're seeing less total listings, that'll probably help sustain the overall price here. And just continuing into some really interesting facts on how many days current properties are sitting on the market has actually been down 34% year over year, which is just staggering because the average day on the market is 17. And the listing days month over month on the market have declined even more, with the average time still being around 13 days going into the end of June, which is just staggering, folks, down 27% month over month. So the residential market still relatively hot, even though we're seeing a cool down in transactions. Now let's talk about condominiums here, folks, because this is a wildly different market altogether. Taking a look at the total condo apartment sales, are up 80% pretty much year over year, but the average selling price, this is where things get interesting, are down 1.4% year over year. And this could be directly correlated to the pandemic, as everyone wants to move to residential because they're mostly working from home and they don't want to be cooped up in a 500 square foot apartment, right? But this gets a little bit more entertaining because the total new listings have increased dramatically, up 42.8%. And the average days they're sitting on the market are up 35.3%. So this is where we're really seeing why the prices in condos have actually maybe declined. People are getting better bargains here because there's just so much supply on the market right now. And this is ever more apparent in the actual rental stats behind the condo market. Because if we take a look at the total apartment rentals, there's been an increase of 81.6%. A lot of people buying condos to turn them into rental units, which the average one bedroom apartment rent right now has declined 16.8%, sitting at $1,820 a month. So this is a great sign for renters like myself. If you're looking for apartments to rent, things are actually relatively feasible if you're willing to look into a condo building. With the total new listings, unbelievable, up 78.8% for the rental stats. So there is a ton of people out there that are just trying to get new listings to get these things rented, right? And this was a really interesting article from the MLS where at the bottom here, they say the average rents continue to be down on a year over year basis as the supply and therefore choice for renters remained very high from a historic perspective. However, if growth in the rental transactions continues to outstrip the growth in listings, market conditions will become tighter as we move through 2021 and even more so into 2022 as the immigration and non-permanent migration rebound, said the TRREB chief market analyst Jason Mercer. So right now is the best possible time to be a renter in the market, and this is why I keep saying it's almost impossible to find something you can buy today that is going to positively cash flow. So this leads into the question, then where should we be looking for real estate? Because even though rental prices have dropped in the Toronto area, I wouldn't be sitting on my hands. There are always deals out there, just like I say in the stock market. When things are overvalued, yeah, you might have to dig a little harder, but trust me, there are deals, and let's talk about where. So taking a look at the average prices across Ontario, the GTA, etc., guys, we can see the average home price is really sitting high, man. We're looking at $1 million on average for a home sale. But if we scroll down, we do see some deals here in the Georgina area, with the average home being about $840,000. Taking a look further on, we got Brock Township having some pretty good prices at the $750,000 range. Clarington, Oshawa, those seem to be the places where you can pick it up under $1 million. Even Scugog, which is a relatively nice area, still under $1 million. But more particularly, what I'm not seeing on here where I would be looking is a little farther out. I live near Lake Simcoe. It's a wonderful cottage country based area. And if we take a look on the other side of the lake from where I live is a town called Barrie. Barrie is a beautiful place to live, in my opinion. An hour and a half out of the city, and unless you're really willing to drive about an hour and a half to 2 hours in any direction, it's the only place you're going to find real deals. But Barrie is coming up a lot because it's cottage country area, it's on the lake, and lake properties always tend to do well. So I found one that came up right away for a duoplex listing here for $629,000, literally a walk away from the lake. It's got 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, pretty good listing overall. And when I dug through this, just taking a look, it looks like they've done a lot of renos and there's actual tenants sitting in this property right now. And these tenants are paying $2,675 a month, which I think is conservative. Not that they want to have the rents raised on them. We're just running some quick math here, presuming you're going to get really good, reasonable rates, and just taking a look at the average down payment you're going to want to put, because if you don't put a minimum of a 20% down payment, you're going to get slapped with mortgage insurance. So on the higher end, I'd be looking at maybe putting about a 30% down just to make these numbers look as juicy as possible, meaning you're going to have to cough up $187,000 with a total mortgage of $437K. If you can, 30-year mortgage being the best, push it out as far as you can. So that way you're going to make a higher return on your initial investment of $187,000. That's the down payment. And again, if we can lock in 3%, which I think you can get better, but you might have to push for those rates, you're looking at a monthly payment of $1,840 before anything else, like renter's insurance, before you're talking about repairs or your property taxes. But let's just keep this simple. If we minus that $1,840 from that rent they're paying of $2,675, you're looking at an annual income of around $10,000, minus out property taxes, a few other things. Heck, if you can cash flow anywhere from $7,000 to maybe $8,000 on the higher end, I mean, you're really looking at a decent return of anywhere from 3 to what even could be 5%. Again, you can negotiate these numbers if you can put a better deal in, because maybe people aren't gobbling that up. I don't know, but there is a lot of duplexes in Barrie. So, and if we take a look at the average rents again, $1,904 for nice properties, $1,600 for cheap properties. So if you want to kick the tenants out, you probably even get a little bit more than that. So, I mean, from a cash flow perspective, from an area perspective, because I've looked at this area, let me zoom back out here, folks, just to show you, because it is a beautifully located area right against the lake here. A lot of places to eat, chill. You're right in downtown Barrie as well, pretty much. So this seems like a reasonable property. If you're very good at negotiating, I would always try and get a minimum of a 4 to 6% range. I would always push to be over 5%. So I would figure out exactly what the numbers would be and then calculate it into your negotiations and maybe put an offer in. But there are so many of these deals going on right now in Barrie. This is some of the few places where you can look. The cash flow numbers actually begin to make sense. The prices are within reason. Yeah, you might have to cough up a higher down payment. They are tightening the lending rules, which could only be into your favor if you're in a position to buy real estate, because it kind of gets rid of the low ballers and the people that are just desperate to get real estate. So to summarize real quick here, folks, what are we seeing across the market? Well, everyone is still moving out of condos. A lot of people made big investments in them to rent them out, and they're seeing that they're having a harder time renting them, making this more of a renter's market for people that want to live near the city, as a lot of those people have shifted into buying residential units. But now that we're seeing the transaction volume slowly beginning to dry up, if that is a trend that continues, we might actually see the first signs of a cool down in the housing market. And if I were to look for real estate, guys, honestly, look on the outskirts. If you're willing to just drive a little bit, if you want to do Barrie, heck, you want to be close to the city with Bowmanville, or on the other side of like Halton region, there's a lot of different places you can look where you're still in great areas, close to the city, close enough. And that's kind of what I've been doing. So let me know what you think in that comment section below. Stay cool, stay awesome, and I look forward to catching you tomorrow.